Kickstarter's new rules against NSFW content could pose a problem for small indie companies, especially those with Black women characters at the forefront, even if the book itself isn't an adult book. Kickstarter recently updated its censorship rules to align with Stripe. Now, this obviously will affect many creators who create NSFW content for the worst. It's not fair to those creators or the consumers of those products. But there's an even bigger problem that can come out of this for all creators of indie books who aren't even creating adult content. Of course, this overhaul to the rules was for the entire Kickstarter site, but visual mediums like comics and art are the ones that will be most affected. Sadly, this could actually affect Black women, at least Black women characters, more than you would think. Now, the main reason about this is because of the policing that Black women's bodies go through. When we talk about policing women's bodies, it's easy to just think of women as a blanket statement. But the truth is that the mainstream women's liberation movement didn't really serve Black women the same way that it served white women. While all women do experience a level of shame put on them about their bodies, Black women and white women experience this different. The language that is used to police Black women's bodies is uniquely aggressive and deeply rooted in a history of dehumanizing Black women bodies. Europeans were creating racist caricatures of Black bodies even before chattel slavery began, but it only was worse with chattel slavery and Jim Crow. Professor Dorothy Roberts points out that American culture is packed with these derogatory icons: the mommy, the sapphire, the matriarch, the welfare queen, and of course, the Jezebel. Much like Black men, during slavery time, Black women were automatically deemed to be subhuman. They were also framed as being hypersexual creatures with absolutely zero virtue. These campaigns were not an accident. They were malicious. They were deliberate media campaigns in order to paint Black women as inherently immoral, to justify horrific sexual, violent abuse against Black women. Black women's bodies have always been treated as literal property to be owned and used. And while these stereotypes may seem centuries old, they are still actively harming Black women and girls today. Both sociology and psychology studies have shown that, in reality, Black girls are routinely perceived as needing less protection, nurturing, and comfort than other girls of other races. They are viewed as more independent, as knowing more about sex and adult topics at a younger age. They are stripped of their innocence and societal protection, which is normally afforded to most children of other races. And because of this, Black women's bodies are viewed as sexual, regardless of content. A Black woman can be doing anything from taking care of her children to working in a classroom, and most times in both media and outside of media, as we have seen very often, simply because of the shape, size of her body, she is automatically hypersexualized by society. When Black women choose to own their own sexuality, it is inherently demonized. Now, because of all these things, when you decide to program an AI or any kind of machine to sift through a bunch of content in order to pick out which ones are not safe, what do you think happens? Obviously, the point is to still be able to have spicy books on the website, but because of censorship and the heavy censorship that continues to try to be pushed in media, even those books are really not wanted, but they are slowly trying to take them out. And so that leads us to using machines and AI learning in order to do the work of doing it for us. And it has already happened to some creators even before this update happened. Now, AI, of course, learns from us. It's trained on life. It's trained on actual human thoughts. And AI is now given the same biases that humans actually actively carry. Even in non-sexual spaces, there is a real danger for AI content moderation. If a bot is programmed to automatically sniff out and flag anything NSFW, how do you think it will judge a Black female character or a Black creator who isn't covered from the neck to the toe? Because the algorithm lacks the human nuance and inherits human bias. So it is very likely an AI will disproportionately flag or shadow ban or censor Black women simply for being Black women and living within a Black woman body, and view it as a violation of any community guidelines. Now, if this will in fact become a problem at the end of the day does, of course, still remain to be seen as we see Kickstarter with this new rollout and as they start to actively start taking down different books and art and things of that nature. So while I could be very wrong, there is still a very inherent danger for Black creators and people with Black women characters. But that's just my thoughts. You can leave your thoughts below. If you can't be respectful, then just don't, because I would delete. That's the end of that. Of course, this channel is all about highlighting Black women who work in the comic book and manga space, and Black women in comics and manga. I have interviews on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that go live, where I interview Black women who work in comics and manga. So make sure to check those out. Subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And remember, as I always say, a small spark can become a huge blaze. I'll see you guys in the next video.